What's cracking, guys? Omar Isaf here, back with another video. In this video today, we're talking all about deadlifts. The most common mistake I see these days, if we exclude the major one, which is rounding your lower back or rounding your back excessively, this is it. Essentially, humping the bar too much, doing too much extension with your spine, hyperextension of your lower lumbar, your hips aren't doing the job that they should be, the glutes, and your core. So what ends up happening is you overextend, you lean back to try and lock out the weight, but the big players that should be doing their job, the glutes and the core, aren't. Why does this occur? A couple different reasons. Could be just a technical thing, so you're used to grooving it this way. Another big thing I want to point out besides the anterior pelvic tilt is that for a lot of individuals, when they wear their belt is probably too tight, so what ends up happening, it throws their hips in a slightly anterior pelvic tilt. So they're in a slight tilt like so, and when they try and come forward, it's harder for them to squeeze their glutes at that top position. It's easier because they're already putting pressure on their spine, just extend it a little bit more. This you'll see oftentimes when people overextend with their lower lumbar. You'll see two things. You'll see that occur, but you also see a soft knee bend, and that's essentially because they're trying to throw their entire body weight back to hold the weight up with their lower back. This is terrible because it compresses the spine. This is how you blow out your L5. This is, once again, a super common issue. What do we do about it? Well, like I said before, make sure your belt, if you're an intermediate advanced lifter, is not too tight. I find some people when they use straps too, because they're not tight with their lats, that also is a factor. But essentially, you want to have your rib cage and your hips squared evenly. And here's what I mean. We talked about bracing before. We talk about taking that big air, but you want to think about crunching down with your core to have a little bit of that isometric action going on, where here, if this is braced, the more I should say it's braced, the better your core is engaged, the less likely your back is going to round, but the easier it makes it for your hips to extend, basically your glutes to push all the way through. I think a lot of people hear that cue, fuck the bar, and they're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to fuck the bar. The thing is that they're extending too much, they're overextending, and they're extending with their lower back as opposed to their glutes. So that's the major issue. I'm going to show you guys some activations, some warm-up drills you could do before you do your deadlift in order to fix this. But I would say, largely for most people, it is a technical issue, something that you've developed over time. Probably when you're doing a lot of reps too, let's face it, just kind of like on the bench press where you want to knock out as many reps as possible so you potentially don't lock out. The same thing, a lot of people don't do that typical pattern at that lockout position, which is to squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core, squeeze the quads, so everything's just nice and straight, even locked out. You do a lot of reps, and by doing a lot of repetitions like that, you're not actually locking out. You build that pattern once again where you think, oh, I'm just going to kind of extend with the spine because already I'm not bracing properly, the belt's kind of crushing my core. That's what happens. So I think the things you have to focus on is at the top, not only squeezing the glutes, but also squeezing down with your core a little bit. Think about it almost like a mini crunch, not crunching down, but right here you're exerting force, glutes, and then quads also squeezing so your legs, your knees are locked out. Because once again, usually when you have this overextension that's going on, right, hyperextension right here, usually your knees are soft, so if your knees are straight, they're locked out. The glutes doing it at the same time, quads and glutes, and then core, the three things function together. What you'll notice, and you'll notice in this video, is when I'm doing it correctly, and a lot of people that deadlift correctly, they're kind of snappy at that top position. You'll see whatever speed it's going on, that they're so snappy, they're locking out so tight, so firm with the glutes, that what happens is the bar actually bumps a little bit when it touches their body because they're thrusting it at such a speed. And this, you'll notice, there's a lot of top lifters that also do this. I think a few even kind of practice this movement of the bar bouncing off of them just to get that sensation of locking out with their hips. But the fundamental point we want to make, we want to be safe, we want to make as much progress as possible. For me, my goal this year is to deadlift 600 pounds. I've had this for a while. Things are feeling good. Latter half of 2017, so I'm thinking about this more. This is probably the most common issue. It's something, if you avoid this, if you correct this, what will happen is it'll put a lot less pressure on your lower back, which gets fatigued quite easily, which then could be the limiting factor in your deadlift overall. A couple of the warm-up things or activation things I'm going to show you, if you guys have truly issues and you're just not feeling like, what does it mean to squeeze my glutes? You could do a glute bridge, just lying down on the ground, squeezing the glutes for about half a second at the top. You do a few sets of that for 15 repetitions. If that, once again, is too easy, you could try a single leg glute bridge just to try and, once again, get that squeezing sensation. You can move on from there. If we talk about bracing, planks are always a great option. However, if you find your lower abdominals, because your lower abdominals probably are the thing that's giving out, where you're extending with your lower lumbar instead, you want to focus on a dead bug. However, you could just do like I'm showing here, isometric dead bug, where you're not moving, you're just keeping your feet up, so you'll feel the lower abdominals contracting as they should in an isometric position. Same idea, and once again, don't forget about the rib and the hip position. When we are hyperextended, what happens is our ribs right here, we extend too much, so they're far away. This position from our hip position, it's extended like so. That puts a lot of pressure on the lower back. Instead, once again, we want these two suckers right here, parallel to one another. So have that squeezing sensation, almost once again, like you're about to initiate, let's say a crunch, more like that plank position. Anyways, I gotta get out of here. I hope you guys found a lot of help with this piece of advice. Don't wear your belt so tight. Make sure your core is doing some of the work. Use the glutes that your mama gave you. If you like this video, make sure to like the damn video. Else,
I want to go home.
oh, you want to go home?
Yeah.
That's actually really sad, man.
I'm sorry.
Why do you want to go home? That doesn't fit the bill.
Let's get 5 likes.
Like the damn video if you like the damn video, and I'll be seeing all you guys, my rascals, in that next one. Peace.
Eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables, eat your fucking vegetables.